For all of you joining us, welcome. I'm Jason, and this is A Light in the Darkness. It's essentially a tutorial for creating Deckergal style accessories. These are different from Body Shop accessories because they spawn in the Sims hand and they can be designed using the design tool in the buy mode catalog. So the workshop will be broken up into a few parts. What we need to do to make it work, we will build the base object, in this case a lantern that I've extracted from Skyrim. Then we using the same object, we would build the hand accessory, the object that spawns into the Sim's hand. Then we would build the new overlays. Overlays are different from regular poses because it doesn't pose the entire body, it just locks certain joints into place. This is handy for storytelling. From there, we would change the GID values in the behave. So when we create this new accessory object, obviously we would have to create a new GID for it. The way that the base object identifies the accessory object is through the GID, so we would need to enter that into the behave to get it to spawn correctly. And finally, as always, we would just test the prop in the game. So let's get started. So here I have, this is one of the base lanterns from my A Light in the Darkness series, and I'm using this as kind of, well, didn't want to do that. I'm using this as a template for building the lamp object that I extracted. So just go select none. Then we go File, Import, Wavefront. And okay, that's a little bit smaller now. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to do was fix the shading. So we go Edit, Select All, Face, Smooth All. So let's just select the lantern once again. The one that says Alchemist Lantern. From the origin, let's just double it in size and see what happens. Yeah, that's about right. It's got that nasty seam. I don't like that seam. Yeah, that's where the seam is. Okay, so just grab as much of that as we can, and then we go Vertex, Cat's Normal Smoother. No more seam. Okay, so let's see what it looks like with a texture. We go Materials, and I don't need all of these extra materials. Go New, and then we go to the texture for this one. Why am I here? And we go Assign. Oh, it's got that little alchemy symbol on it. That's cool. See that? That's really cool. And then apparently the glass is textured as well. So let's grab that and assign it to the same material. Except that if I do the texture glass, I need to change that to a PNG so that it's super transparent. Okay, that looks cool. Then we go back up here. Sorry, unhide. Then let's go ahead and hide this so that we're just dealing with the flame. Okay, so we have the issue here is that they're essentially just two crossed planes, but one the normals are regular and the other they're reversed. It's kind of hard to explain. Okay, so we just scoot this back up to the center, and then let's unhide the base. And then let's move this down. Let's lock our z-axis. And then we just scoot this down to the bottom here. And that's going to create a big old flame. And then let's rename one of these Shade 2 so that we don't lose it when we export it. I will explain that a bit later when I build it in SimPE. And then that is... Let's rename that Frame so that we know what we're dealing with. And we'll call this one Glass. Okay, so that is the lantern base. Hold on, that's not it. First, so that we don't lose the shape of the handle, I want to export this as, we'll just call it 3. And then, because this is the base, we don't want that grab handle in the air. We want it to be laid down on the side. So let's just select this ring here.
Select it using faces, and it's going to select all of them for you.
Oh, okay, yeah, good idea. That's handy. Except how to... Oh, just grab this here. Okay, there we go. Then let's... Oh, because it's still on origin. Want to rotate that on center of mass. So we just turn that kind of to the side. Through the hole there. Okay, that needs to go... Oh, can see it easier here. Just like that. Okay, and now we can save this model as alchemy lamp floor. Just like that. Okay, so now we've got the base lamp for our functional lamp object. So now we go to the hand lamp template. And this is handy because now we can line up the lamp that will be spawning in the same hand. If you're starting from 0, if you don't have a template to work from, it's a lot of trial and error. So if you plan to make lanterns in this style, I strongly recommend my light in the darkness. Yeah, I would recommend my light in the darkness because just clone those objects and use those bases as templates because that will get your lantern in the right position. So here, let's go to this one that we exported. And then we select the glass, the base, and the 2 shades. And then we need to unselect that. So from here, what we're going to do is basically try to rotate this lamp so that The grab handle is in approximately the same position as it is on the other one. So we go up here once more. Okay, so now we go face, smooth all, because we rotated this so much on the axis that it's no longer, you kind of messed up the shading. Okay, so that actually looks pretty good. I think we can make that work. We did parse 1 and 2. Okay, now we need to build the overlays to make this work. Now, for the purpose of these lamps, I already have, for a light in the darkness, I use essentially the same 3 overlays on all of them. But because this is a start to finish workshop, I want to show you how to do all of those from scratch. So we just go new. And I've already, to save a lot of the guesswork, I've already extracted the hands as objects from the a light in the darkness overlays that I did a while ago, just to save a bit of time as we do this, because if you're doing it on your own, it's a lot of trial and error. So we open up a regular old animation template. Doesn't matter whether it's male or female, because the only thing that we really need for this is the hand. Let's start with arm template. So we can see this arm is already posed in roughly the position it needs to be in. See, this sim is carrying a lantern. Okay, so how do we go about posing just a part of the skeleton? How do we make an overlay? Does anyone know that? Well, today we're going to learn. So we click the anim button here. The first thing that we do is animate, uncheck operate on selected joints only, then set keyframe, then delete keyframe, and then once again check operate on selected joints only. So now we go about making our overlay. We're going to rotate on local from center of mass, just like so. I just want this to kind of mimic the original arm overlay.
I have a quick question.
Yes?
Um, that series of actions you did in the animate, like, can you break down why that's needed to do the overlay? Like,
Because you
what
don't want
the,
you don't want to apply the keyframe to the entire skeleton. You only want to apply it to the selected joints.
then like you reselect it, like that'll just apply it then?
It's so if you were to save the keyframe as is, it would essentially lock all of your joints
Oh, okay.
to whatever position it's currently in. What I did by doing that, it's basically getting rid of the full body keyframe and only applying a keyframe to the selected joints.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's it's kind of, well, it's a bit to explain, but
Well, I
uh,
guess you have that tutorial library. Is it explained in that overlay
yes,
tutorial? Okay.
yes, there's like a separate section for tutorials versus full body static poses. Okay, what are we doing here? That needs to come back to about here. So we understand roughly what we're doing here. So when the lantern spawns into the sim's hand, this joint will be locked in place, but the sim can perform regular tasks with the rest of the body. So it's not, I mean, it's ideal for storytellers because you're not locked into like one pose of the sim walking around carrying the lantern. I mean, the legs can move. You can actually walk or run or skip or whatever other Maxis animation you want to apply. Okay, so we move that finger like so. And then let's move that other finger. Okay, now the fun part. I super hate posing thumbs because they never. What the thumb looks like in milk shape is not the same as what the thumb looks like in game. See, that was completely wrong. So we'll control
I
Z.
100% agree. Thumbs are like the most painful thing to pose.
Yes. Then we just pivot that kind of down so that it's opposite the rest of the hand. And then we're done with thumb 0. We only want to move 1 and 2 from this point on. Just kind of, we put that in roughly the same position. And then we go animate, set keyframe. You see what happened? It only set the keyframe over the joints that I already operated on. But the issue is that we still need to lock this clavicle, the bicep, and the wrist. The reason for this is because those joints, if you don't lock them, those joints can still move. So let's go up to right clavicle, and then we go rotate, and then we put in this ridiculously tiny number, like 5 zeros, like decimal, and then 5 zeros and a 1, and we rotate that joint. Then we go back to the hierarchy, do the same thing with the bicep, and then we go back, and we do the same thing with the wrist. And then once again, animate, set keyframe. What happens? Okay, so we've got the joints from the clavicle to the fingertips are locked, and the rest of the body is free to move. Let's go ahead and save that, and I'm going to call that alchemy lamp holding overlay. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we go to SimPE. We grab this one that's labeled as master. And I'm just going to change the description here. Make that worth about 10. Grab that. Paste that here, and don't really need that because that's my, this was from back when I was still on Blogspot before I switched to WordPress. So we let SimPE do its thing. And then here, we rename the scene graph. Update, okay, and then let's call this alchemy lamp. So the first place we want to go is the GMDC. This is that's the base. Okay, and then this is just the empty one for it's cloned from a base game tabletop lamp, and they have that extra subset where if you smash the lamp, it breaks into like a pile of junk. And for me, my pile of junk is just empty. So here, alchemy lamp export 3. So frame, we're going to replace metal. Okay, glass, I'm just going to leave it as glass. And then we rename shade 2 as shade. No, that wasn't it. And then we don't need this candle texture. What is going on? Oh, because I didn't. Okay, the one with 8 faces, that's from the old lantern, so we just remove that. So if you remove the glass subset and then preview it, it's just this one big flickering flame right in the middle of the lantern base. So let's commit that for now. Before we get too far ahead, I want to have a look at that texture because I want to know if I'm doing this as just regular glass or textured glass. Oh, okay, that's super easy. Okay, so let's grab a chunk like from here down. What I'm going to do is make this part semi-transparent and then save it as a PNG. We need to duplicate the layer first. Then we cut. Then we paste in place. And we drop the opacity on this one to not that much. Let's go about 90%. Save as a PNG as Alchemy Lantern. It's just super simple recolor. So it would be a ways to get rid of those resources if they're already enabled. So let's hop over here. And then we add the texture. Okay, so we've got the regular one, and then okay, and this is a flame texture that's already built into the original lamps. It's already enabled, so I'm not going to mess with that. We need to have a look at this shape. Okay, so for this, I'm actually going to change it to null. And I will explain that a bit when I go into the change material calls. So we don't have candle, but what we do have on this one is glass. So I'm going to copy that down because I'm going to need it later. So let's have a look at the TXMT, see what's happening there. Okay, so shade unlit, we don't need to mess with that. But wait, before we do that, let's go to material names. Where it says shade unlit, I'm going to just put null. This is just a blank resource that the game uses as a default. I will explain that on the change material calls. Okay, let's mess with the TXMT. Okay, so we have unlit. We're not really super. Okay, this is surface. Okay, that's the broken. That's when it's broken. We don't really need to mess with that. Shade lit. That's the flickering candle flame. And then here we have candle yellow. We don't have a candle yellow. We have a glass green. So we need to rename this. The top part is glass green. But it uses the same TXTR as the base metal. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to look into my projects folder and see if I have a TXMT for textured glass. Let's call this glass green. And then let's copy the file name on this, and we're replacing it with the new material. That we just extracted, the one called textured glass. Then we paste over the file name. Then we go back to the notepad and we copy the name of the TXTR and we replace that here in. Okay, so we paste over standard material based texture name. Then we go to the file list and we paste that same string right over here. Okay. And then let's call the second the second glass material glass red. Or no, glass purple because it's purple. Copy that. Replace it with textured glass. Like so. Paste over. grab that, the name of the txtr, paste it there, and then paste it in the file list. Okay. We're done with the txmt. So now we go to object data, and we need a brand new GID. So I'm going to go to my spreadsheet. Most people use a different method, but because I create thousands of workshop or thousands of objects every year, I just find it handier to create my own spreadsheet. So this is workshop base lantern and workshop accessory lantern. So we're going to need both of those. Okay, so we replace the GID like so. And because we need this GID for the mmats to do the recolors correctly, we click this update all mmats, bang on the update button, commit, and now when we hop over to the mmats, they now have the correct GID. So we don't need shade lit. Here, this is a different thing because we no longer have a candle subset. We have a subset named glass. So then instead of candle yellow, we need to rename this, after the underscore, we need to rename this glass green. And then we'll go to tools, hash generator, and we get a whole new string of numbers for this. And we place that over family. And then we look for the other candle. And then this becomes glass purple. And the subset, we need to change that to glass. And then once again, we go to hash generator. And we get a new GID value. Like so. And then we paste that there. Then we're going to do a fix integrity operation. We go to the GMND, we go to the base lamp texture, and in design mode enabled is still set to metal and candle. We need to change that candle to glass, and then that lets us know that the recolorable subsets for this object are metal and glass. Let's do one more fix integrity operation. Let's move on. So we've done all. So now what we need to do are add the correct anims and make the alchemy. Well, let's do the animations first. So we delete these 3 anim resources. These were the old resources. And we're going to add the 3 overlays that we created. So let's start with the holding overlay, the next overlay. Okay, so we do pointing, and then we go File, Export, anim exporter, and then we rename that pointing. Export, and then we open the last one, the shouting. Just like that. Okay. And then we just select any old resource, right click, and then add. And down here we go to all files. And we just grab those 3 5ANs that we just exported. Open. Select those new resources. They're going to appear as user defined in your resource tree. Hop over to the resource tab. And then let's shift select these. And we go to, in the drop down, we select anim resource. Or, sorry, animation resource. Okay. Then tools. And once again, we do a fixed integrity operation. This is important because it's going to give them unique instances. See? So it just updated the instance high and the instance that we save that. Now we reselect anim in the resource tree. And we just copy everything before the underscore like so. And I always like to keep a notepad open just in case. So we're just going to paste the names of those 3 anims onto our project notes like so. And then we go down to the string. And we're looking for the string named anims poses. Okay, so not sure why it has these 3 on the first 5 lines, but or why it has this same named pose on the first 5 lines, but I'm just going to replace it like so. Doesn't super matter because we don't use those. And then the last 2 lines, you can see those were originally purposed for the point and shout overlays. So we just replace those with a new point and shout overlays. Okay, if you know a bit about posing, you already know how the T-tab and T-task work. So I'll just go over those briefly. Essentially, your main object menu, you have the option to turn this on or off as if it's a regular lamp. It has all of the lamp globals, but in addition, there are 3 options. You can carry, so it's going to apply just the carry overlay and it's going to spawn the lamp in the hand. Carry and point. So in the one hand, there's the lamp, and then in the other hand, you're pointing. And then carry and shout. So you're shouting you're cupping the one hand, and you've got the lantern in the other hand. Okay? So then we go to the behaves. We don't really need to do anything. Oh, we do with the change material calls. We need to make sure that okay, the only one that really matters is this shade, so I don't think that's going to affect it super a lot. Let's sort that by instance so we're going in order. this is just... I added a whole bunch of my allowed height, so you can place it on the ground, on a table, on a coffee table, on an end table, on a counter, whatever. It's just that's what it says on the tin. It's placed anywhere. So then, okay, so this is just removing the lantern from the left hand. Okay, it goes by stack object, so we don't really need to mess much with this behave. The one that matters is this. Okay, so it's applying. What is it applying? I have no idea. Okay, it's... Oh, I get it. Okay, so this is just applying the overlay. It's applying the lantern hold overlay. Okay? So then it's telling it add this unique object instance. It's saying, okay, if the expression equals this, then play this overlay on the Sims anim skeleton and go to this instruction, the pers5 add. Pers5 add is essentially saying create this object instance, which is the accessories GID, and then play this object animation, which is basically just a default Maxis thing, and put it in this slot. So slot 0 times 0, 9 is the Sims right hand. And then point is doing exactly the same thing with the additional step of adding the pointing anim, but check this out. Because all three overlays are on the same arm, what we have to do here is... No, I'm sorry. The lantern goes in the Sim's left hand, right? So I forgot to point that out. So the lantern overlay is flipped. But because we put all three of the overlays on the same arm, so the lantern overlay, we can see that is flipped. So it's we made the pose using the right arm, but it's actually, it locks the left arm because this thing is checked. But the exact opposite is going on with the pointing overlay. The flip is unchecked, so it will be applied exactly as it appears in milkshake. Okay? So because this is already pre-configured to work with lamps, I'm not going to delve super deep into this. I was just trying to provide a little bit of insight. The next step, let's go over here and let's steal these material names, because the accessory object is slaved to the regular object. Oh, and then we need the shade lit. That's because we don't, there's not really an off for the holdable lantern. That flickering flame needs to be on constantly when it's in the Sim's hand. Okay, so we clone the accessory object. Then we go next. And it doesn't really matter because it's just an accessory. It's not even accessible in the buy mode catalog. So we go shade. No, we go... alchemy lantern, holdable. Update the scene graph. And then we'll just change that to alchemy lantern holdable dash ACC. Okay. Now, back to plugin view. And I need the new GID for the lantern. This one is a slaved object, so it has no materials of its own. It pulls from the base lantern object. So we just commit that GID, save. Then let's go to the GMDC. And I'm just, to avoid confusion, I'm just going to delete all of the original groups. Then we go import. And then, oh, you know, I never exported that from Milkshape. So let's open that holdable lantern. Alchemy lantern, and we'll just call it alchemy lantern hand. And back to Milkshape. Alchemy lantern hand. And we just change that shade, or I'm sorry, the one that's shade 2 to shade. Why do I keep doing that? So that both of those subsets are renamed the same thing. So we've got frame, glass, and shade, just as they're named with the original object. So we should be good. Now we go to the SHPE. So shade, we don't want, this is independent of a light in the darkness. So we paste over the shade name here. This is the flickering flame thingy. So then metal, we copy that directly from the master object's SHPE. We paste that there. And then candle, we no longer have a candle. We have a subset named glass. So we just paste and rename the subset, and then we're done with the SHPE. So then, one more step, we go to the GMND. And the first thing that we're looking at is TS Materials Mesh Name. No, I'm sorry, Design Mode Enabled. So we have, here we're seeing metal and candle. We don't have candle anymore, so we need to name the glass as one of the recolorable subsets. Okay? And then we go to TS Materials Mesh Name. So metal, we just want to copy the name of the crest, so that's everything before that underscore there. And we just paste over that. So for, it's pulling the material, basically this block tells it, okay, you're pulling the material, the recolorable material from this crest. So then we change the name of candle to glass. Okay, the accessory is already slaved, so we just need to go back to, the original base object. So we go back to the original base object. I'm so, I don't think that glass material is correct, but I guess we're about to find out. We go back to that one behave, the one that adds the object. You can see the old behave, or it's basically what it's saying is put this gid in this slot. Okay, so the original gid was DF 3002-6C. So it's backwards. So these last two bits are the last two characters of the gid. And then these are characters 5 and 6, and then 3 and 4, and then 1 and 2. So we go back and look at this. 7 and 8 are 1 6. That's it's crazy that it's done that way, but it's cool. It works. Okay? So then the next two are 0 8. And the next two are 3 0, which I already have, and then the last ones are DF. So all we got to do now is commit, file, and save. Okay, so did I go too fast there? Are we clear on that concept?
Seemed pretty clear.
Okay. And those are the 4 steps. So now what we need to do, go back up to the folder here, grab the alchemy lamp. So we go to downloads, story stuff, and I'm just going to paste the lamp, the accessory lamp, and the place anywhere lamp. And we fire up the game. Is this it? Yes. Oh, okay, see. Okay, the glass does work.
Looks good.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I was... And then when you turn it on, see, it's got this little... You see the
Yeah, a
flame?
little flame. So does that also emit a glow, like if you turn at night?
Yeah, yeah, let's see
Oh,
what
that's cool.
happens. Yeah, this is... It's just a regular object with lighting globals. So that might...
Oh, that looks really good.
Yeah, that might even be throwing too much light. Okay, so... The base light is working exactly as it's supposed to. So what happens... So you see all of the menu options that we have here. So let's try regular old carry. Okay, so see the positioning on that is not super great. have her walk. And let's slow it down a little bit. Not horrible. See, in this case, it's rotated kind of the wrong way.
Huh. She is holding it. Is it like, and her fingers are on the right handle area?
That's a bother. So if I were to tinker with that, I would go back and fix that, but I'm not super gonna
In milk
mess with
shape?
it. Yeah. So now, if we go, put down, it just removes it, and then when you play, it stops the arm overlay. So now, let's do carry and point. I'm not thrilled with the thumb, it's way too far open, but yeah, you could use this as like a, I don't know, oh, it's just the way that the lid is, it looks weird. You could do this as a posing object, right, as a storytelling object, and kind of like tell a story where they're searching for someone. Then let's put down, and let's do the last one, carry and shout. She kind of needs a face overlay. Let's do surprised and embarrassed smile. Yeah, the position isn't perfect, but you could. Yeah, so see, she's stumbling around in the dark. She's
Yeah, I could see that.
shouting for someone who's lost or something. And there you have it. Let's put down. Oh, before I do that, well, I already cleared the object. Let's just do regular carry. One last thing before I do that, before I leave the game. Check to see if it's recolorable. See, you can recolor this type of object with the design tool. It is recolorable, but it's only allowing it to be recolored in one subset first. See, only the glass is recolorable. Okay, so that's something that I would have to tinker with.